The sound of the cork echoed louder than thunder in my head. Pop! Bubbly foam spilled over the rim of the champagne bottle, and there she was, my wife, grinning ear to ear like she'd just won the lottery. Only she wasn't celebrating a promotion, a birthday, or even some long-awaited good news. She was celebrating the end of our marriage. My marriage. Our life together. And in that moment, staring at her raised glass, I knew something had been broken long before I realized it. It didn't start with champagne. It started with little things. The faint glow of her phone screen at midnight, when she thought I was asleep. The sudden urgency to stay late at work. The perfume I smelled on her that I never bought. At first, I brushed it off. I told myself I was paranoid, insecure, maybe even jealous of her success. She was working hard, climbing the ladder in her company, while I kept the house steady. But still, my gut whispered things I didn't want to hear. One night, I asked her, "Is everything okay with us?" She laughed it off, sipping her wine, saying, "Of course, why wouldn't it be?" But her eyes didn't match her words. They darted away, cold and restless. I should have pushed harder. I should have demanded the truth. But I didn't. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe in us. Weeks turned into months, and I became a stranger in my own home. She avoided me without ever admitting she was avoiding me. She started dressing up more for meetings, spending hours in front of the mirror like she hadn't in years. Her phone was always face down, always locked. Once, I walked into the kitchen, and she quickly shoved it into her pocket. When I asked, she brushed me off as sharp, "Don't you trust me?" And like a fool, I swallowed my doubt and nodded. The breaking point came on a rainy Thursday. She told me she was heading out for a late client dinner. Something about the way she grabbed her keys felt rehearsed. I followed her. I didn't plan it. My body moved before my mind caught up. I drove a few cars behind, my chest tight, hands clammy on the steering wheel. She didn't go to a client dinner. She pulled into a quiet restaurant tucked in the corner of town, the kind of place you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. And then I saw him, a man in a tailored suit, stepping out his car with the ease of someone who had nothing to hide. They kissed before they even walked inside. Not a polite peck, not a hesitant brush, but a kiss full of heat and history. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. My heart broke in silence. Sitting there alone in my car, watching the woman I loved belong to someone else. I didn't confront her that night. I drove home, sat in the dark, and waited. She came back hours later, her hair slightly tousled, her perfume stronger than before. She smiled at me, tired, pretending she'd been working. I nodded, pretending to believe her. The next morning, I filed for divorce. I didn't tell her why. I didn't scream or demand explanations. I just quietly set things in motion, letting her think she'd won some private battle. She accepted the papers with barely a blink, almost relieved, and that relief told me everything I needed to know, which brings me back to the champagne. The night the paperwork was finalized, she invited friends over. She didn't even bother to hide it. She popped open that bottle with a triumphant grin, raising her glass as if she defeated an enemy. "To freedom," she toasted, laughter spilling out with the bubbles. But her celebration was cut short. A knock came at the door, and when she opened it, there stood her lover. His wife was right beside him. Turns out, I wasn't the only one betrayed. The wife had discovered everything, and I'd made sure she knew exactly when and where to show up. The room went silent. Glasses froze midair. My wife's triumphant smirk cracked into horror as her secret life unraveled in front of everyone she thought she'd fooled. The man stammered, the wife screamed, and I just stood there, calm, almost eerily calm, because the truth was finally out. She thought the champagne meant victory, but it was really the sound of her own downfall. And as I walked out the door for the last time, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't destroy you all at once. It carves you open piece by piece, until one day you stop bleeding, you stop caring, you stop loving. And when that day comes, the person who betrayed you isn't worth your heartbreak anymore. I left her there with her spilled champagne and her shattered lies. For the first time in months, I could finally breathe.